Welcome to ASIS TV. Chuck Harold, SecurityGuardRadio.com, SecurityGuardTV.com. My next guest, Mr. Rick Shaw. Gives your company website name.
www.awareity.com, and that's AWAREITY.com.
Awareity.com. All right, beautiful. Now, tell us what's going on with Awareity. You got some an interesting report we're going to talk about and a partnership.
Exactly. So at the ASIS GSX, we're going to be releasing a report. The report is the result of 15 years of research, and it's about how we can address the never again, the prevention side of making sure that things like, Parkland and others do not happen in the future.
And we have enough data to make that happen. And I'm happy you're doing this because you don't see a lot of this going on. You see a lot of gadget building, right?
Yeah.
But really the prevention's in the data. It's in the information we have to say, listen, everybody that does X did A, B, and C first or something like that. It just gives you really insight in the future. So tell us what some of the things and the report are going to highlight.
Absolutely. So what we did is we looked at each of the institute or the organizations, the schools, it could be an organization, whoever, and we looked at what did they have in common.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. And so what they had in common is pretty much every one of them had, like, let's look at Columbine, 1999, Parkland, 2018. They both had armed guards, they had access control, they had cameras, they had a lot of those things.
And nothing stopped it. Yeah.
No, it didn't stop it. Now, I'm not saying we don't need those, because we absolutely need those. All I'm suggesting is that it's not prevention.
Right.
Okay. We look at those again, and there'll be some slides I think we might be able to interject here. We look at the other common things, and they all had warning signs. They all had pre-incident indicators.
They all did, every one of them, and a lot of them sometimes.
A lot of them.
I think Virginia Tech had about 85 of them.
At least.
Yeah.
That's the ones that were documented. Just think about the ones that didn't even get documented.
Yeah.
Okay. So we take all these incident reports, or these pre-incident indicators, warning signs, whatever you want to call them, and then we timeline them, put them on a timeline. And then we looked at, okay, that's great, they were out there, but where were they? That's where we took it to the next level. And we show that they were with students, with security, with administration, but they were also all across the community. Law enforcement, think about Parkland. FBI had pieces of the puzzle.
That's right.
Local law enforcement had pieces of the puzzle. Like social services had pieces of the puzzle.
I'm sure the next door neighbor did. Somebody did.
Next door neighbor, exactly right.
Now,
and then social media too.
Distinguish prevention. This is not a trick question, but it might be a tough one. Distinguish prevention from fortification. I believe in my career, 35 years, that people think fortification is prevention. It has nothing to do with prevention. The Great Wall of China is obsolete. Right?
Exactly.
And doesn't do anything nowadays. So I think this is where people get mixed up on, we're going to prevent it by putting guards and barriers, barricades and lights and cameras and whistles. It still happens. It's not about the fortification, it's about information.
Well, it's a great question, and the thing is that it happens because, like schools or businesses, you have to let people in.
You got to do it, right.
Now, fortification can work pretty well with prisons where you're not going to let people out.
That makes sense, that's right.
Okay, so I mean, but it's not very...
They still have murders in prisons.
Well, inside, exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So, I mean, the challenge is we have to, you're right, we have to help people understand that just putting a bunch of guards, I mean, look at Fort Hood. They've had 2 shootings. And I don't know of any organization that's going to have more guns and guards and soldiers than Fort Hood or Navy Yard.
Now, people are still perplexed and scratching their head, and I laugh when I see these things on TV. Not laugh, but I go to myself, okay, fellas, do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? It's not about the gadgets, it's about the information.
Correct.
And how you respond to behavior, right?
Exactly right.
So tell us about this partnership you got going on now. We get the report, and we're announcing a partnership with AIS. What's that?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the report, and it's going to lay out, some solutions, some real solutions that can work with prevention. And then we're going to roll that out to security integrators because they're providing security.
Right.
Great, you got to have it because you can't prevent everything. So you got to have the security, you got to have the first responders, those kind of things. But what we're going to do is we're going to lay this out so that we can partner with security integrators to say, let's bring your clients the prevention solution and the security solution.
Now, I think one of the important emphasis on the integration part is an integrator thinks his job is to wire together things, fiber, cables, cameras, make them work. I think the new position or function is to wire together information. In other words, that camera is not generating an image, it's generating information.
Right.
And what does that picture of that guy walking around mean when he shows up at the same place 3 o'clock in the morning every Tuesday? It means something.
Right.
And nobody's translating that image into data,
Correct.
per se. How do we overcome the barrier of people resisting that part. Is it because they don't like the Big Brother idea about the data? I got news for them. We're there with Big Brother. It's everywhere in every camera, every phone, everything.
Exactly right.
So what's the difference, right?
Well, you bring up some great points. I mean, connecting things. You know, like you said, integrators. Okay, so we're all about connecting the dots. Okay,
That's right.
Those dots being the warning signs, but not just the warning signs and those, but it's also the resources.
Right.
Law enforcement, you know, and mental health, because that's a big part of this. EAP. I mean, all these different dots need to be connected. So there's a lot of similarity between integrating things and integrating dots. Okay.
And people always say, "Oh, that's not preventable," and I say, "You are out of your mind." Most things are preventable.
Most things are.
I think many things are predictable, right? And to say we can't stop it, so why bother? I think it's negligent.
Well, and that's what this report's hopefully going to address, because it's going to show that with all the warning signs that were out there. Now, a lot of times they'll say the warning signs were missed. I don't think they were missed as much as they just weren't collected and connected.
That's right.
Okay.
If they're missed,
because
you wouldn't be in your report.
People were saying them. Exactly.
That's right.
People called the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, people called police. I mean, they suspended the guy, so obviously they knew something wasn't working because he was suspended.
Well, this all comes down to the behavior
I'm talking about,
yeah. So it's a failure to act on the information, failure to act on the alarm from your phone or the data, and that comes down to human failure. Now, what's interesting in these cases, this is what I don't get, and this is what's, if somebody invented this, they'd be a billionaire, right? Let's say the access control at your house fails. It's a single point of failure because you don't have any other doors, you didn't put an alarm on it. That's a single point of failure, right? And to build a system with a single point of failure, you're stupid, because once it's compromised, you're done, right?
Correct.
But when there's multiple things like Virginia Tech, where 85 things came up, like he wrote weird papers to his English professor, told people he's going to kill people. He did all these things, shot targets on the ground for target practice, and then nobody does anything. Is that a single point of failure? That's a multiple point of failure. Because if any one of those people had said, hey, this is the guy at the shooting range, and this Virginia Tech guy is taking target practice by shooting things on the ground, I've never seen it before, that single point would have stopped him. See?
There's a problem that you touch on some great things there, because the problem is that people don't know who to tell sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they always say, go tell a trusted adult. Well, you tell a trusted adult or law enforcement, and it goes into that silo.
Yeah.
You need a community platform for them to bring them in.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But with multiple collection points to go into a central platform.
Right.
Which is
because if I go to the cops and it stays there, it's not going to happen. But if I report it in a public forum, the cops are motivated, and in fact, they have to do something about it because now it's exposed.
And the organization too. The
That's
school,
right.
The threat assessment
It's
team,
out there.
or whoever. Exactly right.
That's a good point.
When you start connecting the threat assessment team of the organization, the school, whatever, with law enforcement and with like maybe legal or other, because reputation is huge for a lot of these schools and colleges and businesses and things like that. When you start getting the right people involved, then they can start looking at all these pieces of the puzzle. I mean, it's no different than if you had two pieces of the puzzle and I had two, and we were sharing it. We weren't sharing them, but if we put them together, we can go, oh, we got a building or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really as simple as that, really. But I mean, that's the idea: is you got to have the tools to collect them and bring them together to a central point, but break down those barriers between law enforcement and everything else. And the other challenge I think that people have is that, they've told somebody before and nothing happened.
They're discouraged. That's true. Yeah.
And so we need to give them a way where they tell something, something is going to happen. And part of that problem is when you tell police, and I'm certainly not knocking police here one bit, but the challenge is they can't do anything if it's not a crime.
They are a response model, not a prevention model.
Exactly right.
That's right.
Exactly right. So there's some frustration there by the way we've sort of conventional processes have unfolded.
That's true.
We need to just re-look at, and that's what this report did basically, is look at all the conventional approaches and say it doesn't make sense for today's world.
Right. Rick Shaw, you have a high degree of awareness. I must say. Was that a good segue?
That's a great segue.
Awarenity.com. Rick Shaw, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be
thanks a lot.
fast. It could be an industry changer.
Yeah, well, it definitely will be. And hopefully a lot of people will stop by our booth, because we'll have a booth there at
GSX.
Exactly right.
That's right. All right. Back in a minute on
Thank you.
ASIS TV, SecurityGuideTV.com, and SecurityGuideRadio.com. We'll see you in a while.